G'day shooters, this is the CZ600 range. It's a rifle that comes with a factory guarantee of .75 MOA accuracy over 5 shots, and I reckon it's sticking its head above the parapet. Sure, there's a caveat on the guarantee. It must be factory match grade ammunition, which is a fair stipulation. Still, it's a seriously tough promise to live up to. It's also scary having to demonstrate whether or not the rifle can do it, because it means I've got to live up to the promise in my shooting and in my preparation. In my first session, I didn't, and if I'd stopped there, I would have reported that the CZ didn't shoot as well as it should. I would have been wrong. Shooting again on another day, the end result was that of the 6 factory loads I settled on for testing, on average, 3 of them showed the 600 range did live up to its promise. Now in the test rifle, there were 2 good quality factory hunting loads that went under .75, and that made me cheer because I had some goat culling to do. The CZ excelled at picking them off across gullies and on cliff faces, where most shots were in the 300 to 400 metre range. Now the barrel and stock are the 2 main elements that give the range its bragging rights. They also make it the heaviest and most stable rifle in CZ's fairly new 600 series. This model is built on the steel version of the 600 receiver with an attractive and exceptionally strong nitride finish. It's the medium size action of the 3 links that you can get in the 600 series. The thick barrel ensures accuracy remains excellent over more than 5 shots, with little sign of groups expanding. Firing a 10 round group from each of the 2 accurate loads that I liked, the rifle remains sub-MOA. The 61cm barrel tapers from 26mm at the receiver to 22 at the muzzle thread, and it floats over its full length. Inside it has a 1 in 10 twist, which is fast enough to stabilise even the heavier 308 bullets. The barrel's clamped into the receiver by 3 cross bolts and can be swapped if you wish to change calibers, but only by a gunsmith, according to CZ. The flat-bottomed receiver sits on a bedding plate under its front section, and it spreads the load a little wider than the receiver can do on its own. Where the action contacts the stock behind the magazine, a notch in the receiver's base fits over a square section cross brace that slots through the stock from side to side. Both the cross brace and the plate serve as recoil lugs. The inherent strength in the laminated timber stock offers plenty of support too, and the stock's target style design then takes things further in the shooter's favour. It's intended for shooting supported when on a bipod like this, a tripod or bags. Even the heel of the butt is fitted with a pick rail on which to fix a foot, and the rail is thoughtfully wrapped in a detachable rubber slip to protect your hands from its sharp edges. The large cutout under the butt, includes a bag hook, and the cone can be raised in a few moments without the need for tools. A vertical pistol grip with heavily textured stippling and a large palm swell is generously sized to fit most hands very well, as long as it's a right hand. This is not a left-handed rifle. Length of pull is fixed at an adult size 370mm. If push comes to shove, your left hand can hold the forend for offhand shots very comfortably, with the grip aided by the scalloped grooves of stippling that run the full length just underneath the barrel. There are 2 swivel studs underneath the forend to which you can attach a bipod, cups on the left and right of the forend and the butt, except quick detach sling swivel studs. You can get very comfortable behind the range, which then adds a super sweet single stage trigger to the mix. There are 4 set weights to the trigger for about 650, 900, 1200 and 1400 grams. I used it set at the lightest setting, where it always released within 30 grams from pull to pull. It's a very, very consistent and crisp trigger, one of the best around. The trigger mechanism includes the unique safety. It uses a vertically mounted button from behind the butt, and it's a natural sort of movement. All you have to do is curl your finger back behind the trigger guard and push up from behind the trigger guard to activate the safety, push down with your thumb and put it back in the firing position. The safety completely blocks the trigger mechanism. It also locks the bolt down, but there's a bolt unlocking button on the receiver just in front of the bolt handle, which also moves the bolt stop out of the way so that you can remove the bolt. Bolt movement is super smooth. The bolt's 20mm diameter is a close fit in the receiver, and there's no wiggle or wobble to speak of. The bolt stop is vertically mounted and it acts as the guide, engaging a 4.5mm wide slot running the length of the bolt body. The separate bolt head can be swapped if you're changing calibre groups in your CZ600. The head has 6 lugs in 2 rows with cammed edges to help pull them into engagement in their slots. CZ calls this bolt action a controlled round feed, but that's a bit of a stretch. It's not at all like the old Mauser type system I used to use. In this case, the bolt's bottom locking lug pushes around out of the magazine, and as the shell clears the magazine lips and rises to enter the chamber, its base slides up into a 3mm wide overhang around the top and left of the bolt face. The rim slides underneath the extractor claw at the same time. The control, that is the bolt's grip on the shell, starts when the rim slips up under the claw in the final few centimetres or so of chambering around. So it's not fully controlled, but it is more controlled than a straight push feed action. The 60-degree turn down on the bolt lock is light and slick. Bolt lift and extraction isn't heavy either, despite the short throw. For ejection, when the bolt reaches the last centimetre or so of its rearward travel, the back of the ejector mechanism hits a stop, while you keep pulling the bolt and shell backwards that last little bit. If you're pulling fast, the shell's ejected forcefully. If you pull slowly, it'll just drop into the open receiver. And if you pull it with just the right amount of power, you can make the shell drop right beside you on the bench. It's a convenient system and it's well executed. The polymer magazine is a squat double stacker and therefore low and compact, fitting flush with the bottom of the stock. The release button is underneath and in front of the magazine, and you push it to release the magazine, but you can also click it forward to lock the magazine in place for when you're single loading, just to ensure it doesn't come loose. Top loading is easy, but you must ensure that the cartridges are slotted into the mag for them to feed. You can't just drop them into the top of the magazine and expect to change it around. The magazine will allow you to load cartridges up to an overall length of 76mm, the same length as the ejection port is wide, which in turn is just big enough to allow you to quickly top load as long as the scope's not too low or you haven't fitted a rail that blocks off the opening. The action of the range is drilled and tapped to accept Remington 700 type scope mounts. This one had a pair of Weaver style bases fitted, and I was spoiled with a Meopta Optica 6 4.5 to 27x50 scope with the reticle in the first focal plane. It's a relatively compact yet perfectly specified scope for the range's long range potential. We'll do a review on it separately though. Rather breezy conditions meant that I kept shots within 400 metres, where I never needed more than 20 times magnification, but this combination would have been good for as far as a 308 round can accurately fly. Kilometre? Yep, no worries if you're up to it. The Bear rifle weighs 4.6 kilos and this whole rig 6 kilos with bipod and full magazine. Not excessive to carry a short way into a shooting position and snipe with. With this mass, felt recoil is minimal and I could always recover quickly enough to see my fall of shot, generally before the bullet had gone 250, 300 metres or so. With the longish barrel, shooting over a deep valley that dissipated the sound, I managed to fire 3 shots without even realising I'd forgotten to put my earmuffs on. Firing dozens of shots through this big CZ is no chore at all, and this ease of shooting is no doubt part of the reason that the CZ is so accurate. You could screw a muzzle brake onto the thread at the end, an M18x1 thread, giving the range the kick of a legless lizard, but I wouldn't bother. No, the range is fine as it comes, and the proof is in the accuracy, and I'll put a table at the end of this video for you to have a look at. Now, as always, there were a couple of loads I didn't persist with, but that's common with most rifles that just don't like particular types. This thing found plenty it did like. On top of that, it's very well made, beautifully finished, very pleasant to shoot, and has a host of worthwhile features to make it the long-range hunting rifle that it is. For something with all of this, the accuracy it gives, at $2.5 grand or so, I reckon it's really good buying.